Hi, it's Hazel. Welcome to my channel, Hazel and Aka Design. I continue to plug away at this blush color journal, and because you had asked that it be a start to finish project, I need to keep keep you apprised of what's going on and show you some stuff. So early on, at the beginning of this series, I showed you what I had started in the way of a fabric snippet roll. And let me just roughly tell you, it's about 24 inches long. A lot of hand stitching, but also those 5 rows of machine stitching to hold it all together. So I'd also done some couching with this interesting fiber, but I thought it needed more. So I have at least a million sequins, many of which are pink, or from that family. So I thought I definitely wanted to use some sequins. I also have this roll of ribbon, and I thought I would make some tiny bows. I also have, where's the 5th guy? 5 of these pale pink ribbon roses. Now these are a bit tricky because, of course, the thing that holds it all together is this wrapped stem here. And typically I cut it off the wire just so I don't have, all those wires getting tangled. But, and I could cut it a bit shorter, but only right before attaching. Now, this may be one of those things that is better off being affixed with a hot glue gun. And I never really think of using my hot glue gun, to be honest. So anyway, what I did, well, I threaded a couple of needles, and now this is probably all tangled. Double thread, just ordinary sewing thread. And I wanted to just, show you a couple little things. When I was first, right off the bat, like I always liked watching Roxy Creations with Rachel. And then she kind of made the move back to her roots, which was in, textiles and stitching and so on. It was from her that I learned how to do what is called a quilter's knot, apparently. And I can't believe I'm this old and didn't know about this knot. It was not pretty what I was doing prior to that. So let me clue you in case you don't know. So typically, okay, you get your needle threaded. You may or may not have it doubled like this. It doesn't matter. But basically, you lay your needle parallel to, like in other words, right beside the end of the thread. And I realize it's hard for you to see this because there are fingers in the way. So anyway, you lay it down, and you probably want to grab onto it with that other hand. And then you do a couple or 3 wraps around your needle. And then you just slide, keep using that thumbnail. You're sliding that potential, what will become a knot, down the length of the thread. And you've got a beautiful little knot that, sometimes a knot that size isn't big enough. So I've been known to do it again, just to make it a bigger knot, because, of course, it depends what you're putting your needle through. A small knot could easily come right through. And you can see that it's perfect every time. So I just wanted to show you that's why I did knot this particular needle. The other thing I wanted to show you, these little bows. I know sometimes, and of course that's the simplest bow in the world. You know, it's not a multi-loop one or anything like that. It's not using great big wide ribbon or something really limp and floppy. I just wanted to show you how I made these bows. Now whether, okay, 2, 4, 6, I've used 7 of them. I tried to angle, you know, position them differently. So I don't know if I'll actually use it on there, but I also wanted to show you that. So in the olden days, I would have pre-cut a piece of ribbon, probably found it to be too short. Then I would cut a longer piece and found it to be too long. And so it goes. So instead, I'm just leaving the ribbon on the roll. I'm kind of figuring out how much of a tail I want, and making a loop. Oh, why am I doing it that way? That's not the kind of bow I'm making, sorry. That's the way, those are the steps you would take if you were doing a multi-loop bow, and you can make it out of any size of ribbon. Now there is inevitably, okay, it's the same bow you would make if you're tying your shoes. And don't tell me you wear Velcro closures. I don't believe it. So basically, I guess some kids were told that those were bunny ears or whatever. Anyway, the gist of it is you're making those 2 loops and you're pulling this one through. Now, you don't want to tighten it right off the bat. You kind of want to adjust. You probably want your 2 loops to be relatively the same size. The tail, of course, you can adjust by cutting it. And once you think you've got your loops basically the size you want them, then you tighten it. And I probably did that a little prematurely. But if you tighten it, it's not going to go anywhere. Especially in this case, I hand stitched those down. Now you probably can't see this on whatever device you're using, but this sort of ribbon always has a right side and a wrong side. And if I was making a big bow, say for a floral arrangement or something like that, I would make sure that I had twisted this so it's facing the right way, or especially if I was going to be gluing it down. In this particular case, it's not going to matter. It's a relatively small element on a very complex and kind of, there's a lot going on here. So is anyone going to zero in on that that particular bow and say, oh my goodness, look, she's got the wrong side showing? No, they're not, because they're going so many other things to admire. So I'll just throw that in there, knowing that it will be used at some point. Now, I'm doing this on the same day that I was making those little, I call them dinky little what? Dangles, dinky dangles. And so I had, if you watch that video, you'll probably know that I cut a bunch of this, and this isn't great stuff. It's that elasticized stuff. Didn't end up using them, so rather than just chuck them out, I ended up layering them with the bow and sewing them down just in one operation. I caught myself. I didn't miss any of them, so that was good. It was another way to use something up. And that is the hashtag that I'm using on this video, or the playlist I'm putting it into. Use it, don't store it. So let me just show you what I have here. So I have these matte, hot pink and sort of baby pink. I've got these iridescent ones. I have these that are really nice, but you can see they have a giant hole. Now it would be kind of difficult, and they also have a bit of depth to them. I'd like to use them because I think they're iridescent, and they're pretty, and they're a different size, and they've got some dimension. But I realized after I had picked a few out, is that I also need to find some sort of a bead that I would put, sort of become not a stamen, whatever. Is that a stamen? Anyway, it would become the center of the flower, and at the same time, it would hold this thing down and sort of finish off the look of that flower. Now, I also have these that are iridescent, but, like these hearts, and I sometimes I kind of wish I'd have started using the hearts a little earlier. I didn't do it till about here. I'm probably going to have to go back and add some there. But this heart and this spear-like thing only have one hole. They maybe were intended for jewelry making instead. I don't know. So obviously, when you sew them down, I mean, they could. No, I guess they can't really turn. So I don't know. This might be a bit harder to, and to be honest, I don't know. That might be overkill anyway. So let me show you. Well, okay. I'm back to the hearts for a second. I started them here, and I kind of put two adjacent to the other. So then I put two more together. So I'll probably continue to do that to the end. And then I will backtrack and add pairs of them, maybe another 3 sets of pairs or something like that. So I don't have a great deal of thread left here. I should also say that I am running these fairly long threads, and that probably technique-wise is not the greatest thing in the world. I should be not hiding them, but running them under some other stitches just to make them less likely that they would get caught on anything. However, I believe that this thing will either be used on the spine of one of the journals to hide the signature threads, or it will be used, it's probably, I suppose if I used a closure, it could also be wrapped around a journal. I don't know how it's going to be used, or maybe it'll be cut into smaller pieces. Who knows? But at any rate, it is going to be attached. So, and I suppose, there's no reason why anyone would ever see the back of this. So even my long threads should be fine. So I basically just very randomly try to mix things up a bit. So let's just, I don't know what, it might be easier for you to see one of these opaque ones. Let's pick a hot pink. Okay, so where did I leave off? So this was my last one, and I have no idea if this is the right way to hand sew sequins, but it's what I'm doing. So basically, my needle comes up the center, and you have to have a fairly small needle to do this, to be honest, because that hole is not big. And then I just run my thread over the edge, so I secure it. Now I suppose, I've effectively doubled my work. I then aim back through the hole from underneath and do the same move sort of on the opposite side. So you can see that that's what's holding it. I think it's maybe a little peace of mind, a little reassurance. And I do have, well, here I've got white. I always keep this near me, a white spool of thread, this sort of light salmon-y color, and just this soft pink. So to be honest, the pink and the white are or maybe this is all pink now. I think I started out with white, and then I just switched to the light pink. Let's do another one. And again, I'm not trying to overthink this. I'm just trying to sort of distribute the... I'm trying to pick up the sequin is what I'm trying to do. I am trying to distribute the glitteriness throughout the snippet roll, because again, it is quite different an element from what I had before, which was all, semi-grungy, woven, sort of more muted colors. But hey, you only live once. All I know after doing this is that I would never want to be one of those tailors or seamstresses or whatever you call them that sew, 10,000 sequins onto some big starlet's evening gown, because I'd have to be committed after that. So maybe let's pick a light pink, and I'm almost out of thread, so this will be the last one I sew down because I'll have to knot it. Oh boy, and I'm not leaving myself much thread there too. Now I also finally remembered to pull out some buttons. Oh, I've got all kinds of little pieces in here. So I picked a variety of colors. I don't know if they're, the right ones. Some of them, obviously that's pretty thick between the, the button itself and that shank. So, that might end up in a special place. It might end up going back where it came from. Again, a variety of colors. I wonder, is this even a button? Yes, it is. That one's almost clear. Just a hint of pink there. Square never hurts for something different. This is one of those old-fashioned ones. We sometimes see these in a variety of colors. These, whoops, I have a few of these here. Again, there's some depth to it, so I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But basically, oh, that's not my thread. I think basically the way to get the most cohesive... Oh, let me show you how I would tie this off. Okay, so I've come through... Don't have much thread here, so I would just sort of run it through this backing paper, which I don't even remember what that was. That was probably some sort of interfacing. Then again, but this time I put my needle through this loop, and that makes a very neat, close knot. So again, same sort of scenario. That was something that I learned from watching those and actually working on some slow stitch. Back in the day, those kinds of things were called embroidery. Now it's called slow stitch, which is a little bit funny to me, but anyway, it definitely is slow. Slow living, this whole slow movement is supposed to be very good for us. I'd better thread this again before I lay it down somewhere and then can't find it. What's going on here? Oh, I snagged my other threaded needle. Okay, now we're going to play Cat's Cradle. I don't know what I have going here, but that's plenty. Because, of course, the longer your thread, the less often you have to thread a needle, which we all know is such fun, especially if you wear progressive lenses. But also the longer the needle, the longer the thread, the more likely it is that it will get tangled up. So again, I've got my two tails. I'm kind of lining them up. laying my needle parallel to it, wrapping it around 2 or 3 times, pinching with thumb and forefinger, and just sliding this down till I get my knot. And I'll do it a second time for a slightly, I'll do it again for a slightly larger knot. And then I will let you go. And then because there is some surplus there, I will trim that fairly close to the knot, just so, you know. So guys, I'm going to stop there because I've done a few long videos all in succession, and I don't want to overstay my welcome. So by all means, it was great having you here again. I hope that you have chosen to subscribe. I hope that you give me a thumbs up. I hope that you comment. And I hope that you are inspired to work on your own snippet roll. And of course, we know that, as I've said, this is fabric and lace. Snippet rolls can also be paper only, or they can be a combination of paper and fabric and trim. So at some point I will be adding some buttons as well. I don't know if I will add anything else, to be honest. Let's see what a brighter color will look like. That maybe is veering towards orange, so mind you, it's bad at night when you have to rely on artificial light. So we'll see how that goes. I'm sure this isn't the last time you're going to see this, so by all means, keep tuning in, and we'll continue making progress on these blush journals and all their component pieces. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.